You're going to hear from one of our wonderful city councilors, Tiffany Koyama Lane. She's been out here working hard for us. She just did a lot of great work redistributing funds from PPB over to the parks. Because we love our parks here in Portland, don't we? All right, I'm going to hand it over to her.
Hello, beautiful people. How are we doing? My name is Teacher Tiffany Koyama Lane, also Counselor Koyama Lane. I'm so glad to be with you all today. I'm a mom. I'm a public school educator. I'm also Yonsei, which means I'm fourth generation Japanese American. My grandparents and great-grandparents were forced into prison camps during World War II. And I think it's important to remember that that was not that long ago. This is living history. Because my family was ripped from their communities because of a racist government flexing its power in cruel ways that made no one safer. Does that sound familiar? One of the reasons this could happen to my grandma Aiko and my grandpa Ray is because their neighbors stood by and let it happen. Other Americans let fear and racism say the safety of my grandparents didn't affect them. And they even took their farm over and their homes when they sat empty. I have to believe that my amazing, vibrant, powerful city of Portland wouldn't make that same mistake twice. I know this is a city where we take care of each other and we keep each other safe. This is a city where we get in the streets to say that something is wrong. And when I see this beautiful crowd out here today, I have to believe that we have learned from the past. But our work isn't done. As long as our neighbors are getting ripped from their homes and workplaces and schools, we stay in the streets to say no. Say it with me. We will say no. As long as people are stuck in permanent limbo in ICE detention, we stay in the streets to say no. As long as people like our trans siblings are being denied their right to exist, we stay in the streets to say no. As long as Gaza is starving and dying from our bombs, we stay in the streets to say no. By being here, we are taking care of each other. We're showing this government that they do not have the power they think. They have the machines, but we have the numbers. Because the power is with the people. It rests with us. So we're going to use it. Use it in peaceful protests. Use it with civil disobedience. Use it with our votes, our rage, our love, our joy. This city will be thriving long after this federal administration is gone. So let's keep taking care of each other, everyone. Thank you.
All right, let's hear it for City Councilor Teacher Tiffany Koyama Lane. Hell yeah, they're doing some great work out there. Love our new City Council. I want you all to give a big, warm welcome to Portland City Council President Elana Pirtle-Guiney.
Hey there, Portland. How are you doing today? Hey, I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank our volunteers, our folks doing tech, the Humble Boys, and everybody who's keeping us safe and making sure you can hear all of these amazing speakers. So, Portland, I am the great-grandchild of immigrants. And when they came here, escaping pogroms and shtetls, they came to escape dictators and tyrants. They came seeking safety and seeking opportunity. And so did 4 asylum seekers whose stories we learned about last week here in Portland. But my great-grandparents were allowed to stay. And these 4 Oregonians were detained while attending asylum hearings. And our president has every intention to send them and tens of thousands of others back to dictators and tyrants, to deny them safety and opportunity. These are not our values. Portland, these are not our values. My name is Elana Pirtle-Guiney, and I'm your Portland City Council president, but before I was council president, I was an advocate. And I organized student protests against the war in Iraq, and I supported workers on strikes, and I marched for my own queer community, for women, for workers, for peace, and in 2020, with my kid by my side, for our Black neighbors. And I have learned that resistance is a marathon. Nonviolent resistance is hard, it takes discipline, and a damn good strategy. And as Cesar Chavez said, it takes patience, the patience to win. But Portland, when we are angry, patience is hard. When we see our neighbors being taken from our courthouses and off of our streets, patience can feel uncalled for. But that patience, that persistence, creeps into the holes in the confidence of tyrants and dictators. It breaks them down. And the organizing we are doing here today will break them down, and we will win. Portland, this will work. This must work, because in Portland we show up for each other. We show up and we stand together for our neighbors when they are under threat. We stand together when we see federal actions right here in our city that are targeting our immigrant neighbors. We stand together when we see asylum seekers arrested in our courthouses, when we see our government trying to take away health care from our trans neighbors, when they try to rip away workers' rights, the very things that allow working people to come home alive at the end of the day, when they take away the basic safety around our food system so that we know that the food we feed our kids won't kill them. Portland, this is not acceptable. These are not our values. We must not tolerate policies or actions from our federal government that not only jeopardize the safety and trust of our neighbors, but that violate the due process we all are granted, that violate the very principles that our democracy has been built upon. Portland, this is a long game, but we will continue to stand together as a community. I want to say something, though, to some of our community members who aren't here today. To those who are nervous to protest, know this: I am here with both of my kids today. There is space for you in this movement, too. We are stronger when we all come together. In fact, it is our responsibility to unite for the safety and well-being of our neighbors. And to our immigrant neighbors, to our immigrant communities who do not feel safe on the streets with us, I see your fear. I share your anger. I stand with you, and I will do everything I can as your city councilor to keep Portland safe for you and for your families. I believe in the strength and resilience of Portlanders. I believe we have the patience, we have the fortitude for nonviolent resistance. We are not a city that buckles under pressure. We stand together when the stakes are high. Thank you for standing together today for our community, for our city, and for our country.
All right, everyone, let's hear it for Elana Pirtle-Guiney, our City Council President. So up next, we have yet another Portland City Council member, Angelita Morillo. They're gonna get up on stage here, give them a moment.
There's some reluctance to get on the stage from my assistant. Are you sure? His dad's coming to force him to come up. Yeah. Very good. You got this. Here we go. Hi, Portland. How are we doing today? I'm here today with my Chief of Staff's son, who is my emotional support because I did not write a speech. But I want to thank you all for being here today. As the Portland City Councilor representing District 3, who is the only immigrant currently serving on City Council, it means so much to me to see you all out here. I'll admit that in the past few days I felt a lot of despair over what I'm seeing happening, and it hits really close to home. And whenever I see you guys all out here like this, it makes me feel like I have the courage to be brave too, with everything that's happening. My mom brought me to the United States from Paraguay when I was 4 years old. It was just me, my mom, my sister. And we left Paraguay because they had a dictatorship that impacted how that country ran for the next 30 years. And I will be damned if I allow this country to go down that path after everything that my mother sacrificed to bring us here. I am so heartened to see everybody who is out there protesting for our neighbors. The reality is that this regime is not as strong as it likes to make itself seem. Just a few days ago in LA, the Trump administration sent the National Guard out, and what we saw was that despite all the optics, they were woefully unprepared. They've been sleeping on the ground, they have no reinforcements, they have no food. This is an incompetent administration, and we have a group of people here that is prepared and ready to organize on behalf of our neighbors, and we are never going to back down. There are going to be a lot of people here today that try to pit us against each other, protester against protester, try to divide you based on strategy, try to tell you the right and wrong way to do things. And I'm here to tell you that the only fight that we have is against the fascist empire, not ever against each other. Over the next few years, it's going to be really easy to turn away from one another, to turn against our neighbors. And I want you to make a promise to me right now that your love for your neighbors is going to overcome your fear of the fascists. And I actually need to hear all of you say that, so I need you to repeat after me. My love for my neighbor will overcome my fear of the fascists. Once more, louder, with feeling. My love for my neighbor will overcome my fear of the fascists. Thank you, Portland. We love you.
All right, let's hear it for Portland City Council member Angelita Morillo. But for right now, we're going to have Portland City Council member Samir Kanal come up here and speak. Okay? 2 more speakers, we're gonna get going, all right? Let's hear it, Portland, for Samir Kanal!
All right, so shout out to the people on NATO first. I know that you are ready to go. I love the energy. This is a marathon, not a sprint. All right, but we're gonna get going, and especially shout out to the person with the Chinga Tumaga sign back there. All right. Thank you all for coming out today. I want to start with telling you a story I recently heard. You may have heard it too. Once upon a time, there was a little boy who loved tanks, big, shiny tanks, and army men too. He got to play with the toys, but he wanted to play with the real thing, the big, shiny tanks. Well, he grew up and he got rich and powerful, and finally he could see a real tank, a big, shiny tank. Not just one, but all of them, and he demanded that they come for his birthday party and do a parade for him. And he invited people to come to his party and bow before him like a king. But nobody wanted to, so he had to offer them $1,000 each to come out on Craigslist. This should be a fairy tale, but it is not. A sitting American president is trying to turn our democracy into a fascist dictatorship, into a government where he alone is the law, and where federal agencies like the Justice Department, Homeland Security, and ICE go after his political enemies, anyone who isn't a straight white Christian male or willing to shut up and get in line. And across the country, people are getting ripped away from their families and kidnapped and trafficked by masked government goons. And now he's trying to deploy the US military on the American people. In LA, we got police and the National Guard firing tear gas and rubber bullets on peaceful protesters and even journalists. We have federal agents here even firing some kind of gas too. We've seen this before. If it's not stopped, it will not end well, because it's an attack not only on the American people, but on our values too. And I want to say briefly that part of the reason that a strong man or a king is appealing to some people is because sometimes it looks like democracy doesn't work, or that we don't even really have it at all. But to those who need an example of a good example of democracy, I'd say look at Portland. 2 years ago, Portland, you changed our form of government towards more democracy instead of less. A place where people can argue and still work together the next day and partner up for the city the day after that. A place where the debate is done in public and shaped by the public, and sometimes our messiness is in public, and that's okay, because democracy is messy when it's not sanitized or manicured, but when it is real. We believe in democracy here in Portland, and I think we're willing to fight for it. Are we going to give in to fear? Are we going to let the feds decide how Portland is run? Are we going to stay silent, sit by, and be accomplices? No, we're not. We're going to stand up and say, not here, not in Portland. We're going to say that immigrants are part of our communities and no one is illegal. We're going to say that queer people are welcome here in Portland. We're going to say you cannot kidnap our Latino brothers and sisters. And we're going to say that the government has to follow the First Amendment. We have a right to protest, and fascists can't brutalize or tear gas protesters anymore. Now, we're going to be tempted to turn away, right? We're going to be tempted by three groups of people. People who don't believe protests work, even though America's history is one of successful protest movements. We're going to be tempted away by people who say we're destructive, by people who never believed in the First Amendment, say our protests are divisive and destructive as an excuse to shut us down, because they don't understand that we're a movement of peace and our foundation is love, and we fight for all humanity because of our humanity. And by people who want you to pick up a brick or a lighter, they'll tell you not their name, they won't show you their face, but they'll tell you that to be effective you have to be violent. Probably because they're a federal plant, or maybe just somebody who doesn't understand the power that we have here or the strategy. And we're going to tell them to go home or go back to DC. All right, so authoritarians governed by fear and domination, we know that. To fight against fear, we know we need a positive vision. It's not enough to say what we don't like. We have to say what we want as well. And I would offer that the opposite of domination is liberation. I would offer that our positive vision is liberation. We see a world where your voice is more powerful than a fascist, where your votes matter and your government reflects your goals because our vision is liberation, where your power extends to the workplace, where your job can be unionized or even have worker ownership or a co-op and your boss can't mistreat you or rat you out to ICE because our vision is liberation, where you have power where you live because you can own your home without fear of displacement, or if you rent, you can form tenants unions or have a renter's bill of rights, and your landlord can't exploit you because our vision is liberation. Where we can remember the times of being sent to the kitchen, to the back alley, to the closet, to the internment camp, of being told to go back to your own country. Remember it, but not fear it ever coming back again, because our vision is liberation. Where the president matters because of their policies and their budgets, not because of which of their rights, your rights, they're going to try and take away, and those rights aren't ever up for debate again because our vision is liberation. A world where there are no kings and no queens, no fascists, and no goons or henchmen either, where we decide our future because our vision is liberation. Liberation, my friends, can you see it? Are you willing to fight for it? Are you willing to go the distance? Are you willing to march and chant and shout for it? Me too. Let's make sure this whole city and this whole country can hear it. Hear it all today. Thank you.
Let's hear it once more for Portland City Councilman Samir Kanal.